before we get started, there's a couple of housekeeping things. First off, I'd like to thank the Rossberts for allowing us to use this fine facility. I'd like to thank the Chamber for their help and the city to get this meeting together. Come on in. We have a short agenda today, and I won't keep you here any longer than I possibly can, but we will stay as long as any questions need to be answered. First, we're going to have Harry Stark up. He's going to address the 2015-2016 snowplow. We will talk a little bit about Heritage Ohio and the downtown assessment. And third and final is a CDBG grant loan opportunity that we would like to present to you. So we'll get started. Make sure, again, you sign in. Harry?
Thanks, Jack. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Harry Stark, City of Wadsworth. And around a year ago, we had some meetings internally and with Public Ways to talk about snow and ice in the downtown. It's been done a number of different ways over the last 5-6 years. I know downtown Wadsworth has tried doing certain things, and then it's been kind of all over the place. So we had a meeting, Public Ways. We had a lot of the resident or business owners and building owners come and talk about issues that they've had and things like that. So at that point in time, what we did was we looked at, okay, how do we work through this? So one of the suggestions was that the city would take the lead. We would hire a contractor, and we did hire AK Construction to go out there and basically plow everything all at once, the angled spaces and the sidewalk in front of the stores. This was done to the downtown area. We had stated during that time that, Mr. Thurber and myself went out and met with the majority of all the building owners and business owners in the downtown to talk to them about the plan. Basically a year ago, starting that process, and kind of explain the whole idea of how you would be billed for your your frontage, and if you didn't pay, then it would be an assessed project. So Mr. Thurber went around and got signatures. I think we had, 75% of the building owners, sign off, and they were in support of the project. So we moved forward, and overall, I think it went well over the winter. I know the first couple snows, we were working with Bill from AK and had to adjust a little bit, but I think after that, everything worked out well. We just sent out the invoices for last year. Invoices ranged from, I think $50 was the lowest, and then it went on up from there. So just as a summary, Bill was out. He did 25 pushes and 21 salting that we were charged for. So I don't know if anybody has any comments on last year's, because really what I would need to know is, do we want to do this for this coming year? If not, that's fine. Again, this is a program for the downtown, and really just want to hear any pros, cons, and what you want to do for this coming year. So I'm going to open that up. Yeah, Janie.
I don't have a dog in this fight because I'm not a building owner or a business owner, but I thought it was wonderful. There was, I thought it was really nice that there wasn't big mounds of snow to walk through on the angle parking, and I just thought Bill did an amazing job.
Thank you. Diane?
I hope we do it again this next coming year. I know we had a really bad winter, but I thought they did a good job. I really feel that some of the business owners need to know that it has to be 2 inches before they plow.
And that can always be adjusted. I mean, if
2
that's...
inches is good, but there's a few say, oh, where are they at? But I thought they did a good job. Just, I think, better communication with that instant, but not having to go over the mounds of my customers, because I have mainly elderly people that come into my store, and not having those mounds right there was a godsend. So.
Okay, thank you. Joe?
Yeah, since I have the biggest frontage, I think, because I paid $246 yesterday.
That wasn't the biggest, by the way.
It wasn't?
No.
It was close to it. anyhow, I agree. I think it was an excellent, it helped us out. We have a lot of old people coming in our place, and, you know, it's hard for them to park in the front and then step into the mud or slip on the ice in the parking lot, and I sure would like to see it happen again. If anything added, have more salt put down when it's icy. Have some kind of clause in there to do an extra salt. You know, we pay for it, whatever.
Right. Okay. Yes.
I'm Kathy Simmons from the Wadsworth License Bureau, for those who don't know me. My only concern is I think that the removal was good, except for we opened for business at 8 o'clock, and they seem to be removing snow from businesses that don't open until 9 or 10. I would ask that perhaps we be addressed first, those businesses that are open earlier be addressed first than those other ones. That's my only comment.
Okay, no, and that's good. I know Bill had tried to do that with some of the businesses, but that's something that, you know, Bill Alexander, who is the contractor that did the work, is actually here too, so he can address any questions.
Actually, your point is very good, and we tried very hard to do that. One of the biggest problems was when we had the majority of the snows, it didn't quit snowing until after 8 o'clock. And that was the hugest problem.
If you could fix that,
But you're absolutely right. And then the biggest problem was, like, for example, with Jazzercise. I mean, they start at 5 or 5:30, and the snows weren't quitting until like after 8, between 8 and 9. And so we were trying extremely hard because trying to find the curb, I understand, my grandmother fell 2 years ago, okay, because she couldn't find the curb. So we were adamant to make sure that we brought the proper equipment in there, because that is a huge transition. Some places it's only 6 inches based on the asphalting to the curb, and other places it's deeper. Okay, so we were trying very hard, but once public opens, we all know downtown's a very small area, and once it's open, it's almost impossible to do anything. That's the reason why we were redundantly coming back later in the evening. What we couldn't get through the day, once the businesses are open, we came back once the business is shut. That way the following day, it looked a lot better than during work. It's almost impossible. Once cars start parking, like there's nowhere to put anything. I mean, theoretically, when we start on the sidewalks, we shove it out into the streets and then drag it away from the curb and then put it in the four corners and pile it as high as we can. And one other thing too, the city did an outstanding job in regards of, we did not haul anything away. I simply called Harry and said, you know, the piles are getting tall. He got right on it, you know, so just so everybody knows, it's not just me, you know, that involved. Everything worked out very well in regards of that happening. So it's like, as I couldn't put the piles any higher, they were right on top of it, removing it the night before. So if we had another one, because we did break a lot of records in regards to snowfalls and everything in the past 2 months. So considering all that, I didn't think it really went that bad at all.
I just got one. The Firestone building in St. Mark's, I had a problem with that snow. When you push it down to the end, it actually closes the sidewalk in front that connects to St. Mark's. So that was a problem that, and I think once I let you know, I think it was opened up. But that's going to be a difficult situation, because I realize you're pushing a lot of snow down there, but that walk needs to be opened.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't know anything about it. I think you contacted Bill, and then Bill contacted me, and we had our guys go out there and clear that out. So.
Right, because we're doing to the end of Naps, and then someone else does St. Mark's.
Correct.
So we're extremely early, so by the time St. Mark's get in, but I understand his thing. If the snows that we had, if we like have our 3 to 6 inches and we do it twice, the pile is just gonna start, because the sidewalk and the street, there's no separation there. It's right against
Right.
one another. And it's very limited space to begin with. There's only 7 feet from the wall to the curb right there. So anything at all could cause a problem there. And that's the only bad thing, because that is such a long stretch right there. There's really no other place to put the snow. I mean, the only other thing that we could simply do is just kind of stay on top of it on that particular area. Maybe after 2 plows, we would have to remove that pile alone just to try to keep up with that area
Yeah.
getting through there.
And as long as we have communication, the key is communication, Chuck, and if you're having an issue or if anybody's having an issue, contact me directly, because if I don't hear anything, I'm assuming everything's going well. And, and then when we found out about that situation, we took care of it, but, you need to communicate and let us know.
The only other thing I have is, I would kind of like to see when you send the invoice out, you just itemize the dates that it was plowed, only because I have to split mine out to other tenants and show them what days.
I understand.
So that would help me a lot.
Okay, we can do that. Bill, you raised
The
your...
only thing I have is, before winter comes, people that have stuff outside, like benches and stuff, to plow those walkways, because we have the concrete trash cans that stay through the winter, and we have the flower pots that stay through the winter, but benches and stuff like that, it's almost next to impossible to get. There's almost no room, because you got the trees, you got the things that we tie the horses up with and everything. There's so many things to get around, it's not even funny. So, I mean, if you could please, right before the winter goes bad, anything that you have out front to make your store attractive, that can't, to put inside, that would help me tremendously as far as doing a better job and keeping it clean.
Yep, good point. And then, let me just add one thing real quick. If anybody wants it, if we're going to continue this, if we want to look at doing it less than 2 inches, that's something we'll have to talk about. Just understand that if we do that, it's going to be more expensive. Exactly. So that's just something to keep in mind and let us know. We're probably going to, if we continue this, we'll probably be talking about starting getting into a contract in August, September. So.
I apologize, I'm late, so I might have missed something. There were 3 points that I just wanted to mention, and I think the one was already addressed as far as the timing coming out. We open at 8:30, but I know a lot of stores open, before that. So just, having it plowed for our customers when they come in. The other thing was the number of times. It seemed like they would just come out once a day, and it would continue to snow, and then come afternoon, we were still having customers, but the sidewalk still, had accumulated snow and wasn't plowed. And it sounds like this was also addressed, was the 2 inches. I felt more that a 1 inch rule of thumb would be possibly better. That's what our contractors that we've had in the past had used.
Okay. Yeah, just for your information, there were 25 actual plows, and there were 10 days in which he came twice out. So, unless you want to address that question about the multiple times. Sometimes it was later in the day, though.
Correct. The thing about it is theoretically, like we would come out, if we had an overnight snow that accumulated more than 2 inches, we would try to address it, God willing, before the business is open. Then when it snowed throughout the day, and we had multiple days that it did snow throughout the day, theoretically I had to wait till it gets 2 to plus inches before I come back. And throughout the day, realistically, the only thing I could possibly do is try to keep a path clear. But once again, once all the vehicles and stuff are in there, I won't be able to do an efficient job until later that night, once everything is moved out of the way. I personally, if I was a business owner, if you can't see the sidewalk, we have so much work, it's not funny. I'm not trying to nickel and dime, but it's just a matter of, that's one of the most important issues that this as a community needs to decide. If you're concerned with, once you can't see the see the sidewalk, that's something you need to be addressed, because realistically, out of common sense, if you get an inch to an inch and a quarter, you're not going to see pavement. So, but it is all about money, because in today's society, it is hard on the money attribute. So I can understand completely of waiting for 2 inches or what have you not. But that's one of the things that you guys really need to decide what you want. And if it's to the point where like 6 businesses want it at an inch or less, make Harry aware of it, and he can make me aware of it, and I'll do my very best to accommodate that in certain areas. You know, I mean, if some people can't afford to do that, it's understandable. I mean, I'll do my very best to work with whatever. If certain businesses want it at an inch or less, that's on how you want to make the contract, and I can accommodate that, and I'll do my best on your part to keep track of, Huntington Bank, I did it 12 times this week and only did 3 roses 4 times.
Because I took my shovel out, shovel
I saw it.
I heard about it. So, any other questions, at least on the snow and ice program? I'm sure, Mr. Thurber and myself will be getting together to talk about this and moving forward and seeing what we want to do for next year. So any comments or any suggestions, please let me know or let Mr. Thurber know. So, thank you.
Thanks, Harry. Downtown Wadsworth had handled the snow and ice removal for about 7 years, and I know what you're going through. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Let me clarify something real quick. If you want to, what we're doing here is in an effort to try and get information out to everybody, we're recording this, and we're planning on putting it up so that if people that couldn't make it want to listen to it. So if you have a question and you want to be heard, we need to get you into that microphone over there. That's the purpose of it. The chamber was gracious enough to send out 3 email blasts. We sent out 2 email blasts. The city did an actual mailing to try to get the word out. So seems like in today's communication, it's really difficult to communicate. So we're doing everything we can do to try and communicate what we're doing here. Next on the agenda, Heritage Ohio Downtown DART Assessment. As you all know, Andy, you want to put those down now? Downtown Wadsworth has become a Main Street community. I'm not going to go into that a lot right now. We're going to pass out this this flyer that kind of explains the Main Street program. But one of the requirements is that our city have an assessment done, and they're about to do that. The 28th and 29th, Heritage Ohio folks are coming in. Downtown Wadsworth Board is meeting tomorrow, and we're going to finalize the details. Once we have that, we'll let you know, but there will be a town meeting. It will be held at City Hall. I don't know exactly the time right at the moment. I think it's going to be on Friday, isn't it? 8 to 12. 8 to 12? But what I did want you to know today is that these folks will be coming to your businesses, and they will be, and I wanted to let you know this so that you know who they were and why they were doing this. They're going to come to your businesses and they're going to talk to you, and they want some honest answers. They're going to try to assess our weaknesses and our strengths. What I'm hoping will happen is that you will give them your honest opinions. If something happened that you're upset about 15 years ago, I don't know that it's that relevant that they need to hear that, but it is relevant what's going on today. So if we can focus on where we're at today and what's going on and where we want to be tomorrow, I think that's important. If you don't like me, you can tell them that. I don't, but it's important that these folks get an honest answer so that they can put an assessment together for our downtown. So the 28th and 29th, I think the first day they're going to do just kind of a wander around thing. They're going to be meeting with our board. They're going to be setting our board up, so to speak, and then they're going to be meeting with the townsfolk at a meeting. So that's primarily what's going to happen there. If you have any questions on that, I'll be glad to answer them. I did promise that we're going to move you through here real quick. The third and last thing that I would like to talk about is there's a grant/loan possibility through the CDBG for downtown revitalization. I won't lie to you, when you take money from somebody, there are things that come with it. There are things that you have to do. We're in the process of trying to get some of those things put into place. But what it basically does is it's a matching grant fund that will work on your facades. It'll work on code violations or bringing your building up to code. For instance, and this is just, if the southwest parking lot wiring went underground, and all of the buildings that were connected to that were fed to the underground. Right away, almost 90% of the buildings would be in code violation because their electric is not up to what the code would be. Well, this grant money would help take care of that. We have a form that we would like you to look at today, and it's assessment of if you're interested in participating in something like this. This by no means is the only grant money that is available for the downtown. As a Main Street committee, we now have access to other monies as we're being made aware of it. There are other opportunities, but there is a deadline for filing on this particular grant, so that we're trying to.
And can I add one thing
Sure.
to that? This is a revitalization grant through the state, and this is the last year we're going to be able to be eligible for it, to receive it directly. After this year, it'll be going to the county, and then we would be responsible to then we would have to try to get the dollars from the county back into the city. It's a little bit easier to deal directly with the state. So that's why we want to go after these dollars this year, because this is the last year we're eligible for that direct grant.
So I have this form here. I did not put this together. If I did, I would not have spelled my name wrong. But if you will take one of these and fill it out, and what it basically says, now there is absolutely no commitment or a binding of this. What this is a level of interest for your building, for your business. Now these monies cannot be used for certain things, but they can be used for a lot of things that would help the downtown and would help the downtown businesses. So there's an explanation on there. If you'll look this over, if you'll fill it out, and if you'll get it back to me before June 1st, I would appreciate it. And I think that one of the requirements would be, what's the interest in the downtown for this? So the other thing that we're going to have to decide, we'll be working on with this revitalization, is just where the business district is. What are the boundaries? Where do they lay? That's something that we've kind of never really did, and I think they're going to force our hand on this a little bit. But I think it's important that we think a little bit outside the box on this. I think that for different funding purposes, we think a little outside the box on this. There will be meetings, town meetings on this. This is not going to be done in secret. We will always look for your input. We will always be interested in what you have to say. So getting a hold of me with any kinds of ideas, any kinds of interest, there's 10 ways you can get a hold of me, and I hope you'll do it. So this time we'll pass this out. Sure. Let me get you the microphone over here. You want to come on up, or you want us? No. Here, we'll send Tom over.
Can I say Moon River into this thing? Okay. Anyways, okay. Okay, here's, because I've been part of this, I think I got a pretty good grip on what's going on. But could you explain the Main Street program and the importance of it, and what's going to be important to our downtown as well as the community, and then to include the revitalization plan?
Well, I think with the Main Street program, one of the most important things to note is that it's not a program that changes your town. It's a program that adapts to your individual city. It works off a 4-point system. The 4 points are design, marketing, business enhancement, and what they call operations. And basically this is operations. Operations is a situation where we try to get all of the arrows kind of pointing in the same direction. We listen to the businesses and the building owners and their needs. This town has always had random improvements, and which is okay, except everybody's going in different directions. And as we try to improve our businesses and as we try to improve our buildings, we need to kind of get everybody going in the same direction. Now, what that direction is going to be up to y'all. I'm not from the South, but I thought I'd throw it in there. It's important that everybody have input into this, what we want our downtown to look like, to feel like. What about our what is it about our downtown that we like, that we don't like? What do we need? What do we want? Once we do that, then we try to corral everybody into continuing to go, but going in a particular direction rather than this way and this way and this way. So that's basically the effort of it. Business enhancement means strengthening and advertising existing economic base of the downtown. They firmly believe in strengthening the existing businesses before you bring new businesses in. It's important that you have a strong business base before you start to add to it. Marketing involves promotion, unique characteristics, new businesses, tourists, and others. Design involves improving the downtown image by improving its physical appearance. So the committees will be rearranged for downtown Wadsworth, and we'll be focused on that. Now, downtown Wadsworth is not going to do this alone. WEBA, Chamber, the city, and all of you are responsible for doing this. But I think ultimately the rising waters will float all boats, and I think we'll all benefit from it. There will be some casualties, I'm sure. We have strong businesses, we have weak businesses, we have so-so businesses. But in order to have a thriving downtown, we just all have to get together on this. And it's really not going to work unless we all do that. So that's our, and our primary drive is to educate, is to assist, and we'll go after monies that's available. We'll provide training. We'll provide volunteers. Those are the things that we can do, but the business owners and the building owners have to kind of want to go in the same direction as that. So that's the big thing. Just with the snow removal, how many people disagree or agree to disagree on how the snow removal is done? So it's not an easy job. It's not going to be something that will happen. It'll be done over and we'll say, yeah, we did it. It's an ongoing process. It's something that we all have to work at. Does that kind of answer your question? Anybody else? All right.
Jack,
Sure.
on this grant, it says for building owners in the central business district. Who defines that, and has it been defined?
Well, I just kind of went over that. No, it had. I mean, that's kind of a loaded question, but at the end of the day, I think we have to take another look at that. It's never been really defined. I mean, they've kind of said, well, Boyer Street, Party, maybe, you know, but there's a lot of viable businesses that go beyond that. There's businesses just off in the secondaries. You know, so we really need to look at that and take another look at that. And again, that's not going to be something that's going to be decided by one or two people. That's input from everybody. Here, sure.
Jack, that raises one issue. You know, we have a master plan for the city that I think it defines what the central business district is. So, you know, we need, if you guys get together and decide it should be different, then we'll have to adjust our master plan.
Exactly. But that's part about what it all, it's legislation, it's cooperation, it's moving forward, all of us moving forward together. So yeah, I mean, all of those things. We're just in the beginning throes of a revitalization of the downtown. We're working with the city. We're in the process of picking a consultant right now. The last major revitalization was in 1982, I think. There's all kinds of things that we have to look at: infrastructure, expansion, streetscapes, people space, traffic, parking, but we're about to do that, and having Heritage Ohio come in at this time is, let me understand something with Heritage Ohio. There's 2,800 other cities across the country that are involved in the Main Street program, and it's a very successful program, and I think that if you go into a Heritage Ohio program, or I'm sorry, into a Main Street program anywhere in the country, you'll see a difference in the downtowns. They focus on and work with and for. They continuously keep an eye on, and it just never stops. So it shows. So you know, those are some of the things. Joe?
I heard the councilman say that there is a master plan the city has one. And what is that? What is the master plan for the, you said you have one in?
It's a plan that defines all the areas
Yeah,
of the
what is
city.
it, definite, where is it?
Oh, for the downtown, you mean?
Yeah.
without looking at the plan, I can't say for sure. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's, you go to our engineering department or planning, they have the master plan, so you can look at it. It consists of a series of maps and definitions.
Well, shouldn't the people in here, before they decide, know what the master plan is?
Joe, again, the master plan is a document that can be changed at any time.
Well, I would like to know where the boundaries are.
It's online. You can go to planning.
Oh, is it online?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, all of our documents and plans are online, so. But I believe the central business district, the zoning for the central business district is basically, as Jack had indicated, it's really from Boyer south to
Mill Street,
Mill Street,
Party Street.
and then Lyman. That's generally considered the downtown. But I know we've had discussions in the past, shouldn't it extend possibly down to State?
Right.
And farther east, farther west, east-west. So, yeah, but it is online, and I agree with you, but as part of the downtown plan, the consultant that we're looking at hiring, that would be something that would be readdressed during that time, too.
Just to let you know, I was on that committee that did that master plan for 6 months, I think it was. It seemed like forever. But yeah, I think that, again, there's nothing in stone here, and I think that's important to understand. I think what's really important to understand is that we all have to agree that we need to do something to keep our downtown vibrant, that we have to work at it. It's not going to just take care of itself like anything else, whether it's a plant or a tree. You need to constantly attend to it and stay focused on it. And when you do that, I think you'll be successful. I think that all of the businesses will be impacted by it in a positive way. The building owners will see property values go up. They'll see rent go up. So it's a win-win for everybody. Now, as I promised, I'm going to get you out of here quick. Anybody else have any questions? I don't want to rush you, but if there's any questions, we'll be glad to answer them.
Wait a minute, I just have
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, say I'm a business owner downtown.
Sure.
Okay, what will the revitalization plan and the Main Street designation mean to me as a business owner?
Well, I think that I kind of outlined it, but I think what it's going to do is that you're going to see properties go up, you're going to see signage change, you're going to see the downtown streetscape change, you're going to see more increased traffic, you're going to see more businesses come in, you're going to see the existing businesses that are there strengthen. I think you're going to see hours change, maybe, because now, instead of working from 10 until 5 or 6 in the afternoon, there may be enough people down there that now we need to stay open later. You're going to see some diversity of businesses down there. And I think, honestly, the one big problem that we have downtown is we don't have a lot of room for expansion. So we have to be very careful about what we do and how we do it. I think it's important to pay a lot of attention, and that will happen. There are opportunities. There are some opportunities that may be kind of out in left field, but I think that they're still doable. And involving some of the other businesses that aren't traditionally downtown businesses. You go down over the hill. You go down over the hill on the other side. You go north. You go out east. So there are opportunities there that I think that need to be addressed and looked at and helped. And I think that's what we're going to do.
As a business owner though, Jack, is it going to cost me money? Because this is always a big concern, is money. I like money, and so I want to know about that.
I think that I would say to you that any time that you start to work on something like this, that there are monies involved, and to what degree depends upon how well you want to participate. I would be lying to say that, well, we're going to fix your building up for you and it's not going to cost you a dime. I think that, like with the BDC, it's a matching grant kind of thing. Isn't it 1-to-1?
Yeah, it changes, but it can be anywhere from 3 to 1 to 1 to 1. So But with the downtown plan, with revitalization, let's be honest, it's going to cost money. You know, when they did the streetscapes back in the 80s, there was an assessment, a self-imposed assessment that the building owners went through that paid for that over a
30 years.
30-year period. Being part of Main Street, it opens up for a lot of additional grant dollars. Look at Medina, they received a number of, what, 300,000?
350,000 to build a restroom downtown.
So, I mean, it opens up additional dollars from granting agencies to the state and other organizations. But yes, this is going to cost. It's going to cost city money, it's going to cost everybody money to revitalize the downtown. But, you know, what's the alternative at this point? So,
Harry, what's the amount that's available on this revitalization grant?
300,000, I believe.
To this city?
That's what we can request, up
Okay.
to 300,000, yes.
Great.
Okay, my question, I'm reading this over, and these are the things that are listed that can improve my, so if I said I would be willing to spend $5,000 myself, the city or this grant would match it and give me 5,000. So I'd have 10,000 to help my building, you know, because it shows windows and roofing.
As long as it falls within the criteria of
Well,
the...
over here it says windows and doors
Yeah.
replacement. That would be awesome for my front because I need new windows and a new door. So that's what it would be. So if I said
Sure.
yes, I would definitely be interested in and put the money amount, then I could get a match of what I would put in. They would match it.
Yeah, some of the matching, it changes. It's like 1-to-1 to 3-to-1. So that's something that we're going to be working with during the grant application process
Okay.
to define that with talking to the state. But also on the flip side, the city also is going to be putting together a facade improvement program this year when I can find some time to do that. And that's going to be up to a certain amount that we will match. So if you did have to do something on a door, per se, or windows, that would be something that would be eligible in our program as well. And we would be matching that. And more information will be coming out about that later for this year, if that's something you want to do this year. So just FYI.
Just to clarify on that 3-to-1, that's 3 for the business owner and 1.
Correct.
Right, it's weighted on the business owner side, just to be sure
Yeah,
that
yeah,
everyone knew that.
Yeah, so with
Right.
grants, it's never the other way.
Right,
Let's
exactly.
remember
Just-
that.
just to
So, but we're going to be shooting for the 1-to-1, 50-50, so.
Gary, I realize we don't really have a plan or dollar amounts for that, so this may still be an unknown question. But just in terms of the city and the shared funding compared to the business owners, and you've heard me say this before, first of all, I commend the city for taking this on. It's time and it needs done. My question still, as always, goes back to that this is not just about the downtown, it's about the community. And so, to me, to unduly burden downtown businesses to improve this whole community is not realistic. But I don't know if there's been a dialogue that said what percent or how this might be shared at all, what the city might bear that's more global, so to speak, for the whole
Right.
community.
Well, again, the city's going to take their share, obviously. You know, we have infrastructure issues that we're going to be dealing with, you know, that are not going to be put back on to the business owners. But if it's a facade improvement on a building downtown, it should be paid for by.
You know, I think the key word that you said was unduly. You know, I mean, there's nothing for free, but I think that, and I think everybody understands that. So, but I think what's important here is that for the first time, we're going after monies that, I don't say it's for the first time, but downtown Wadsworth is going to be able to go after monies that it couldn't have access to before. There are lots of opportunities that are on the horizon, and we're being made aware of more and more funding available for this kind of thing. So we've never been able to do that before, so now we can. Anybody else?
Eric, can you send the link for that plan to Jack? We were looking on the website, found a trail plan and a water treatment thing.
Yeah, I can get you the master plan.
In the wrong area.
Yeah,
That way Jack could email it out.
Sure.
Thanks.
I can do that.
You have to understand the master plan, it's a guiding tool. For instance, it shows a road going right through between my house and my garage. I'm not real thrilled about that master plan, but.
Starting next year.
Yeah. But I mean, what happens is when somebody comes and they say, we want to do this, and what they do is they take a look at the master plan. They say, well, when we talked about this, this is what we said about that. Does it fit within what we wanted to do? So it's kind of a guiding tool. It's not necessarily all-inclusive tool, but it gives us an idea what the community wanted to do and how they wanted to do it. So, and it's updated what, every 8 years? 10 years. Yeah.
It was done in 2010, I believe. I think it was 2010.
It took about 10 years to do. Anybody else? Yes.
Has there been given any thought to a theme to downtown with regard to if you're going to do a facade upgrade? Obviously, certain cities say, okay, we want this color brick. If you're doing anything new, we want everything similar. I'm in the middle of a significant project myself right now, and do we want any input in that? I mean, if we're at the beginning stages, I know I may be too early for it, but if I can meet requirements that you guys are hoping to put in place, I just as soon do that.
The city has an architectural review board, and one of the requirements is that we adopt some standards that are set by the Secretary of the Interior, and that's one of the things that we need the council to take a look at. The Architectural Review Board has policies, but I don't know if they've really had a lot of guidelines, and we would like to do that. So, and again, that's instead of having random acts of improvement, we have a direction, and we'll give you if you fall between here and here, you're good, or wherever that is. So yeah, we definitely want to take a look at that.
What's that?
It doesn't help you right
No,
now.
but I mean, if we're going to do a facade and you guys want red brick, I could care less whether it's red or brown. At this point, if I'm going to follow a theme, I'd like recommendations.
Basically though, I think if you look at any downtown, I don't care where you've got Italianate architecture, you've got Victorian architecture, you've got all kinds of architectures. And I think that instead of saying we're going to want a red brick, I think we're going to say that we're going to want something between here and here. It's not going to be so restrictive that you went and bought red bricks and we want something else. But I think that having set a broad set of guidelines to follow will keep us going in the same direction. I want to thank you all for coming. We're going to put this online. We'll let you know. As soon as our board works out the details, we'll get that out to you. And we'll try to keep you in the loop as best we can. At any time you want any questions, please feel free to call any one of us, and we'll be glad to answer them. Thank you.